We've got some questions here actually, but there's
Hey,
one that I
perfect.
scribbled right down at the beginning, and I think it's kind of interesting. And we've got to just explore this a little bit. You know, he said,
Okay.
right, we're going to talk about discovery. And they went, no, I know you've all heard this before, because so many salespeople, oh, no, here we go again. I know about this. What do we think's the thinking behind that? Why are salespeople so easy to go, no, I know this, don't need to do this. Tell me some really, really spangly stuff quickly. What's going
Because
on?
a lot of times when you go into that meeting and you wing it, right? You think that you don't have to, because by the time you're done, you've got a great personality, you're charming, you can go in there, you can have a conversation, you don't need to prepare. You're going to walk out of there, they're going to love you,
Yeah.
right?
Or
So
would they
who
not?
needs to prepare? Who needs discovery? Not the case anymore. You can wing it and you may feel all warm and fuzzy when you leave, but they're going to do the same thing with the next person. What did you do to differentiate yourself? Did you get the emotions? If you left that meeting without emotions, like overflowing your bag, go back, get another meeting because you failed and you won't get what you need to differentiate.
No, but no, what I was meaning is when you said I'm going to talk about discovery, you were almost predicting that everyone's rolling their eyes, going, "Oh no, we want to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about discovery. We want to
Yeah.
know some
Yep.
secret
Oh, yeah.
language, hypnotic patterns that makes everyone going to, you
Yes.
know,
Yes. It's
why?
not a
Why
thing.
are people so worried? Do you think about going back over the basics and establishing? And what you did says, well, here's a good question to
Mm-hmm.
even better, but I'm not so worried about those yet. I'm going to come on to them. It's the
Yeah,
oh, she's just telling us things we know. What's happening?
that's right. It's well, they've gotten apathetic to it, right? Like they feel like they just know it and they don't need to think about it. And the other thing is there is no real, true, absolute secret sauce. Why? Why is that? Because it's a different sauce for every person,
Yeah.
right? You just got to figure out the right mix of that sauce. And that only comes if you do your discovery with research, preparation, all those things that we talked about.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, I've talked so many times with people recently about this, that you look at people who are best at what they do, you know, elite sports teams, elite performers,
Yes.
they practice the basics, which then gives them a little bit of time to go and practice the spangly stuff.
Yes,
We've got to
exactly.
go straight into spangly stuff. I've got another basics. I don't need to do that. And guess what? There's no foundation, is there?
No, and Spangly doesn't work without the basics because
Spangli's
you
got
can't
to
do
be
anything
built on
magical.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't do anything magical with your customer if they don't trust you. Trust doesn't happen unless the emotions start coming into conversation. So yeah, this is foundational stuff. If I had $1 for every time people don't do this right, I would just retire because it's literally everybody. And by the way, by everybody, I mean me too. I get in, I do the same thing. That's why we got to be deliberate, right? Like we got
Yeah.
to catch ourselves. Best salespeople they do a lot of self-reflection, right? They're self-aware, and we got to get really good at that.
This is a theme I think I know every single speaker has said, just stop, slow down a little bit, reflect on things and do just some of the things that you do better. That's where you're
Yeah.
going to get the benefits.
Yeah.
Then we can start building stuff on it.
Yeah.
And the debrief.
Slow down to speed
And of
up.
course, the debrief, if you heard Zane, he was talking about the debrief being the most important part of a mission.
Think about it, process it, right? And here's the thing, we have to slow down to speed up, right? Sometimes when we're going slow in the discovery, we're like, oh, we didn't get very far. Look, that slowing down up front is going to let you have rocket fuel toward the end because you'll be prepared. There aren't going to be any magical gotchas because you figured out what's motivating them and you got to the emotional level. Emotions are what throw things off toward the end. Get that information up front so you can mitigate for it throughout.
Yeah. Yeah. Love the good intention for customers. Again, they'll sniff it out, they'll see it. But if you genuinely have, then life becomes easier for yourself as well, I think.
Exactly.
And those, again, you made it sound so easy. Those like, oh, this is a good question, which we don't hear that often anyway. But that's a really, really good and really high impact. Love those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. Consider them. Consider those answers.
That's it.
Right. No. So let me. There's a question in here, which is, how do you deal with a buyer who's closed, doesn't want to answer the question? You keep asking, but you're getting short answers.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Sometimes you are going to get a buyer who's shut off. I mean, there's psychology there that none of us are prepared to deal with. You just keep trying, right? Ask the big questions. And look, if you're asking a big question and they're getting short answers, at some point they're going to realize what a dummy they're being, or at least this is what I tell myself when I go to bed at night. Keep trying, right? Try different ones. If they're giving you yes and no answers to to a question that should give you big answers, by the way, what are your chances of closing this deal? If they can't even open up to you for the fundamental questions that you're asking in the beginning, is that somewhere you need to be? Right? gauge it. It's your time. Salespeople, our time is so valuable. We have to be able to get out early on whether or not this is somebody that's going to buy from me. Win fast, lose fast. I'm all for keep trying, but no one to hold them, no one to fold them. You guys don't, it's your time is precious. You could be going out there and winning somebody.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a bit of a flippant answer, but it's that time of day now in the UK. It's like, ask about something they're interested in.
Ding, ding,
they
ding,
will
ding.
probably want to talk about that.
They'll tell you. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, this is what kills me is when it's fake. Back in the old days, when we used to be able to go to customers' offices, we'd be like, oh, is that your son? When you say it like that, seriously, they know what you're doing. People know what rapport building is. They're not dummies. These people have sellers in their company that they know what those salespeople are doing. Yeah. Be genuine, be real, be curious, but don't be a dummy about it because they're going to know what you're doing. Be real.
And it's like, when I absolutely love it, values in the eye of the beholder. Or I have a colleague who said value is a mystery. I think I said that when we were chatting last time. We've got to uncover that mystery, whichever way you want to do that. That said, you don't just rock up and go, well, I don't know what it is. There's no point in even preparing for it. I'll find out when I get there. No, you find out by going,
nope.
I suspect. I always think about mystery in the Scooby-Doo.
It is.
The mystery machine.
Yeah.
It's like,
the mystery machine.
It's usually the janitor, but it could be the teacher. It's good. That's what it's like. It's like the value's probably this, or this, or this. It's like Zane again was talking about the contingencies. It's I'm going to go down this route. If I'm getting this short answer, if I'm getting no, that doesn't seem to be interesting. I'm okay. Can I go down another route? Wow, they've lit up. That's where it is. Yes,
and you're getting the company answer, right? So if they're telling you that they need to make this investment because security is so important to their organization, BS. That's just like everybody's answer to that. That is not an answer that's going to differentiate you at all. Here's what you need to hear. Well, look, if I don't get this security situation resolved, if we don't do this, my name is going to be in the newspaper before we talk next time. And that's not something I want. I will not have a job in my career. The CIO who let the security fail, it's going to follow me forever. Look, that person who's making that thing, they're less cared about the company and security, to be honest. They're damn scared of losing their job and their credibility as a IT person who was accountable for the security of a company. A breach will kill your career. Right, I'm just using security as an example. It's one of the recent customers I talked to, but you get where I'm going, right? Yeah, there's a human motivation beyond what the company needs at that moment. You need both.
Change to this because it's really good, really exciting. It could be loads and loads of extra new things for you. Yeah, it might fail as well though. So I better stay with the devil I know. So we've got all that going on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thinking about language patterns, there's a bit of a loaded question actually, but the way that you were framing the challenges and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
What about saying to a customer, what are your pain points? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh God. All right. I don't know if we have enough time for this.
Sorry,
but
I'm in that kind of mood this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, you don't have to ask me twice, right? Here's the thing. About 15, 20 years ago, when some training organization taught that question, it was cool as hell for a few years. Now, when you ask that question, just like, what keeps you up at night? Customers know that you're asking a question that somebody told you to ask them because you're trying to sell them something. That is what pain point means. Stop it. Who uses the word pain point in their normal vocabulary? Nobody does. And by the way, what keeps me up at night is my 6-month-old who is crying all night long. Don't ask these questions. Take them away. And that's the thing. When these questions come out, like everything else, when they first come out, it's new, it's cool. Customers will respond. But when every salesperson that comes in their door ever asks what keeps them up at night, they're over it.
Yeah, so questions
they don't want any part. Yes, like questions just like that one.
Actually, you say it's 15, 20 years ago. Bear in mind, you got Jesus Jones wrong by about 10 years. I think you've probably got the timing on that.
I wasn't going to count, but well, and it was funny. So I was telling Lauren, I love Jesus Jones. And I'm kind of like, is that girl even going to know what I'm talking about? Probably not. Don't tell me if you do or not. Okay, good. Thank you, Lauren.
She does. She does. She's got Zoom.
Sales, just speaking of time.
Screwing up my audio if I say something nasty to her.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Speaking of time, sales has changed a lot. Like in the past 20 years, 10 years, internet, all the research they can do, all those things we hear. But the fundamentals of sales have not changed. If you cannot connect with your buyer and recognize the emotions that are motivating their decision, you will not have a sale. Whether or not where they research, whether or not they have 7 competitors against you, you just won't get there. So that heart to heart, that human to human interaction, that's the core of sales. And I think that's timeless.
Yeah. And again, I'm kind of looking at my notes down here. You use an expression about use the question, let the emotions seep in. I love that. I'm going to borrow that. If anyone's
Do
hearing
it.
me on training next week, you'll know where it's from.
Do it.
No, but it's seep in, because I do sometimes get the feeling that people are, oh, discovery, well, I've got to ask a couple of questions, then I get to do my demo.
That's right.
I get to
Exactly
do
right.
the good
Exactly.
bits. You know,
Ooh, then
it's
I
like,
can
oh,
put my
I've got the
slides
questions,
up.
yeah, and okay. Well, I know I've been trained to do them. Budget, authority, need, timescale, bant done, move
Yeah.
on. I mean, you're never going to get to that. It does take a bit of time, but once they start to seep, the seepage can become quite
Yes,
quite
exactly.
can't it?
Yeah, and so I'll give you one example, and I didn't have time to do it in the call, but you have to ask questions and don't assume anything. And this whole idea of pitches drives me bananas. So I had a sales rep that I went into a call with. I'm an embedded coach, so I actually get to go with my clients on their calls sometimes. And I went in with him. I'll call him Ted, and he was selling technology to a financial services company. And he starts talking. They're having a great conversation. Rapport, slides haven't come out. Well, then the customer asked a question, and Ted kind of got tripped up a little by it. And so he quickly grabs his laptop, and I'm groan silently, like, oh, please don't put up the slides. Please don't. He brings up the slides, right? And he's selling like cloud computing services. And God bless him, he listened to his product training so well. He got like all the value proposition points out. He starts talking about, hey, look, Mr. Customer, you definitely need to look at cloud services because it gives you operational expense model as opposed to a capital expense model. And it lets you have predictive, blah, 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 all this stuff. When he stopped to breathe, the customer's like, no, that's not us. We need CapEx. We have tax implications that require us to buy this heavy equipment. And Ted, of course, is like, oh, fill in the blank. Right. And of course, I just chime in because I'm like, not going to let this guy die here in a painful death. I'm like, wow, we don't actually hear that a lot. Most of our clients are looking for operational. Well, tell me a little bit more about how this would help you with CapEx. Now let them tell you if it will. But that's what happens. You assume that what's on your tear sheet is what you need to talk to customers about. If you would have just asked that as a question earlier on, it'd be a different conversation.
I love language, which is why I enjoy listening to you. Would you say on your tear sheet?
Yeah, your tear sheet. That's what they call it. Tear sheet, your one pager, your brochure, your whatever it is that you shouldn't be reading to your customer in the first place.
Your
prompt. You call it.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get that. No, that's cool. That's cool. And again, like just look. I love the way some of those answer questions. I have to buy from this company. I have to buy from this salesperson. Again, I think so spot on. Yeah, it depends what mood I'm in, and you can tell me can be. I have my moments, but I'll just say to you, what you sell is exactly the same as everyone else. It is the same.
Why?
But you're different. You are the person. You are potentially the only differentiator in all of this. It's not by being their best mate. It's not by trying to get an invite, to the barbecue and spending weekends together. It's that you can lead them through the stuff that they need to do. That's valuable. That's value.
Yeah.
That value could well be in you.
And it is. I mean, I'll tell you, I went through. I'm not telling you guys something I haven't gone through. I'm a salesperson, right? So I've gone through this. I had to test it on myself and others. When I first started out my company, I decided to call some of my customers and ask them why they hired me. Like I have in my head what this is, right? Like you're on time, you respond, blah, blah, blah. I know exactly, but I want to hear it from them. Surprise, that's not anything that they said. Consistently, some variation of, you have our back. You're not going to let me fail. You know my blind spots. And I'm sitting here going, how did you never ask that before, dummy? And so now when I talk and I do my work, I know that that's the thing that's most valuable to my customers is I don't let them fail. And the rest of it is important, but the most important, that's a feeling, right? Like you're going to have my back. That's what they say. Yeah. That's the most important. Ask the question, you might be totally surprised by the answer. And by the way, what they tell you, start writing that stuff down. That is your personal differentiator. That is what your brand can be built on.
Yeah. It's not your little banner on LinkedIn. It's that thing that you're building up in that history.
Nope.
Yeah, fantastic. How can people get in touch?
So I'm almost always on LinkedIn. It's probably the best place to get me. On Twitter, it's A Nielsen LDK. And then my website is www.ldkadvisory.com.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and find me and tell me what you thought.
Well, I think it was great. I found you. You're there. I'm telling you, it was really good. It made me made me think so much. So
yeah, that's what you got to do.
Cool. We do. Slow down. Think. Go and intentionally do a better job.
Yeah. Slow down, unlike what I had to do today, but I wanted to get all that information.
No, I'll squeeze you full value anyway. So don't
zip through it. Fine. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you.
You too.
Take care. Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.